One of the hardest things about teaching remotely or teaching in hybrid is that you really never know what the students at home are working on. There's a lot to be said about a student being in a classroom with their computer screen visible to create a little bit of accountability for staying on task. And this is true for adults, because who wants to be in the meeting and going onto Facebook knowing that the people behind you are judging you for being on Facebook during the meeting? But I have for sure checked Facebook, email, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and everything else during staff meetings remotely this year. And so if I struggle with that self-regulation, then I know that my middle schoolers are as well. The biggest game changer for me in using code.org this year to teach computer science while we have been remote is code.org gives you insight on who is working on what and when the last time they did anything on code.org was, whether it was 1 minute ago or whether it was 4 days ago. And that is among some of the other great features of the website. Hi, ladies and gents, my name is Thom Gibson, and if you are new here, I help middle school STEM teachers design an engaging classroom experience for their students and a fulfilling teaching experience for themselves. I've been teaching the coding and robotics elective since 2014. I did not study computer science in college. Just about everything that I know when it comes to computer science, I had to teach myself using platforms like code.org and staying a few weeks ahead of the students those first few years that I was doing it, which is actually kind of nice because I can adopt a growth mindset and let the students know, like, I'm learning this with you. I am not a professional. I am making sure that I'm doing the assignments that I'm assigning to you, but I'm excited to learn this, and you may come up with more creative solutions than I have figured out. And so you're building that community of learning, and you're modeling the fact that you are a lifelong learner and that you are not the end all be all of all knowledge in that class. But that's a side note. In my coding and robotics elective, we spend about 20% of our time doing actual coding on a platform like code.org, and the rest of the time we're working with the Lego EV3 robotics. So I'm giving that context so you know that I'm not doing a full all computer science learn to code through code.org for an entire semester. I have used Scratch, I have used Code Academy, I have used CodeHS, and I have used code.org, and I have settled this year on code.org for 3 reasons. The first reason is the one that I alluded to earlier, is that there is the last progress feature. When students join your code.org class, you can assign them a module, and then you can see them make progress. It gives you these little green circles that fill out, or you can also see like the entire thing at a glance, and you can see the students making progress that way. But what's really nice is that you can hover your mouse over their name and it says last progress completed, and it'll go down to a date and time to the minute. And so if it's 1:30 and then it says the student hasn't completed any work on code.org since 1:10, I can join them in a breakout room and say, hey, how's it going?
Fine, I'm just trying, I'm kind of figuring out the module.
How are the modules coming?
Well, they're kind of confusing, to be honest.
Are you working on them? Because code.org says you haven't completed anything in the last 20 minutes.
Oh. Yeah, well, honestly, I'm kind of struggling to stay focused.
I understand. Let's go ahead and open it up and see where you're at, and let's see if we can start making some progress. Yes, it's kind of a gotcha moment. I do kind of like that moment where I'm like, really? Because it says you haven't done anything in like 19 minutes. But I'm going to that room to let them know I would like you to stay on task, and I am here to support you. And I get it, because I have for sure checked Facebook, email, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and everything else during staff meetings. And once they know that I actually know whether they are working on it right now or not, they generally stay on task a little bit more, or at least keep code.org open in a separate window and come and type a few things every few minutes. The second reason I like code.org is all the features are free. There isn't even a paid plan. And I'm not opposed to getting admin to pay for some curriculum or some content that I need if I need it and if it's useful. But being that this is a coding and robotics class, and most of it's robotics because we invested a lot of money in our robotics kits, and the coding is supplemental to that, I didn't want to invest a ton of money in that side of things. Last year at the start of COVID-19, CodeHS was giving everyone their free premium access, and I used a few of the features. It was kind of nice. They had like a little bit of a grade book, and you had a little bit more options on like what to assign students. But honestly, I was like on paternity leave most of the time, and then when I got back, I was just like, just go code something, because it was like 3 weeks left of school and it was COVID. But regardless, all of those like paid features that you kind of got with CodeHS, you pretty much get included for free on on code.org because they get tons of sponsorship from huge companies to support the work that they are doing in teaching kids how to code. The third reason that I like code.org is the lesson module library is pretty big. They've got full courses that would take you through the entire semester, even if all you were teaching was computer science, and they have a ton of resources that just take an hour. They were the ones that started the whole hour of code movement back in like 2013. I like using those hour of code modules in that first week to kind of build up a little confidence for the students, and it walks them step by step, video by video. And sometimes they're a little bit more fun and engaging and using like games and cartoon characters that the students already know to kind of pull them in. And so that first week, I let the students say like, hey, here are all the code.org hour of code modules. Go ahead and pick one of these 3 or one of these 5 or any one of the ones that are showing up on this screen. And then on the very last lesson of that module, I want you to record a screencast of what you did explaining that final code and how it works. And so that way it can be a quick formative assessment. Did they actually get it? Did they learn something? And they get some student choice in there about kind of doing the coding that they're interested in right off the bat at the beginning of the semester. After that first week, since we don't spend a ton of our class time coding, I just assign the accelerated intro to computer science course. And that will usually take us through the semester since we're only working on it for a little bit each week. As far as the students that finish early, I do wish code.org lets you assign specific modules to different students. Right now, as far as I know, you can only assign like a course or a module to the entire class. You can't differentiate it in between students, but the students can enroll themselves in another course. And so these kids are probably generally the more tech savvy of your students, and they'll be able to figure out how to enroll themselves. And then you can say like, hey, I want you to go look through some different options and see what you like, what you want to learn, and then enroll yourself in a course. And then you can kind of create some benchmark due dates and say like, when do you think you'll be able to have module 5 done? And then have them send you a screencast of what they did. Whatever they do choose, it'd be a good idea for you to also go through those modules so you are more capable of helping them if they end up getting stuck somewhere. And the more voice that they have in what they do, the more excited they're going to be to actually do it, as opposed to feeling like,
oh, I finished early and now I'm punished with this extra work that I didn't choose.
If you are also teaching coding alongside robotics, but unfortunately your kids are not able to take the robotics kits home because of remote learning, I have a video about a at-home robotics project that you can do without robotics kits. So click on the video right there to check it out. My name is Thom Gibson, and I hope you learned something today that'll help you design an engaging classroom experience for your students and a fulfilling teaching experience for yourself. And hopefully I will see you in the next video.